Hey everybody, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I'm your host Josiah, aka Muller67, and with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
Not doing pretty bad. How about you?
I'm doing pretty okay.
Mm.
Just another day working, doing the old job.
Yeah.
Doing it to get paid, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's how my life is, and that's how it goes. So Austin, how was your weekend, buddy?
It was good. Busy.
Good.
Oh, busy.
Busy.
Not too bad. I had pretty much nothing really going on except for hung out with my friends. We played up a couple times, and then I had stuff that we did throughout the weekend, me and my wife. And I started into my new work shift because now I work Sundays for 3 hours.
Oh, is that
yeah.
all they did was add Sundays?
Well, I'm off Tuesdays now completely.
Okay.
So I get off Tuesday at 8 a.m. for my job, and then I don't have to go back in until Wednesday at 9 a.m. So I work pretty much Sunday 9 to noon, and then Monday I work 9 until 8:15 a.m. Tuesday, and then I work Wednesday and Thursday, and then I'm off the rest of the time.
Huh. Okay.
So I get 3 days off, which is nice, and then plus another fourth day that's a couple hours more.
What do you mean another fourth day?
Because really I get Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, and then Sunday I have I'm off most of the day except for 3 hours. So.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah. Not bad at all.
No, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, hey, I know you enjoy your job, so
yeah, I do.
It's not too bad.
It really also helps that Ohio just did a huge pay increase for us. Because I think it's been deserved for a long time that people that take care of people with disabilities get paid a decent wage. And I'm glad that they finally took that in perspective and was like, hey, these people are taking care of people. They're cooking them dinner, driving them places and stuff like that. They deserve a good living wage. So they kind of upped it a lot. So now I'm making $4 more than I was, and it's a lot better. And I'm pretty excited about that. Actually, my first paycheck that's coming this weekend because Monday's a holiday.
The MLK.
Yeah, so it'll be the first time with my pay increase. So, yay for taxes.
those are always the best days. Is whenever you're like, hey, first day after the raise, I get to just notice it instantly.
Yeah.
And then you look at your pay slip, and then you get depressed because of, like you said,
taxation.
Taxes. Yeah.
Yep, taxation.
Yeah, that's how that goes. And
how am I making less than what I did before?
It's called you're a new tax bro.
Mm-hmm.
I laugh about that, right? Because I make a decent amount too, right? But I make currently as much as I made 3 years ago before I got into the new position. And the reason why is not because of taxations, but because I upped my benefits and everything. And so before I was making about 12 every 2 weeks. And then I got a pay increase, and it's hey, you're going to be making 14 every 2 weeks. That's not bad. And then I upped my benefits and everything. It's you're making 12. I'm like, yeah, of course, we're gonna take $200 out a month. Great.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Hey man, when you do that, you know what happens? You get a check back from your insurance being hey man, we overcharged you. He's sweet, give me that sweet money. Here's $35. Oh dang, I'm rich.
I've had those checks. I've had those checks before. I've also had checks. I remember when COVID happened, and I just got laid off at work, at my job. So I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was nothing about it. And I was man, I really don't know how I'm going to pay these bills. Because at the time they didn't have the emergency thing where they gave people more money than what unemployment's going to give them. So then all of a sudden I get like an email from an HR from a company I used to work with. It was like, hey, we're sending you a letter. You have to sign it and agree to it, and we will pay you. And I was like, pay me for what? Come to find out that the job I was at that time did not accumulate my overtime at all. So the federal government actually stepped in, and they were come to find out. I'm not going to get into too much detail because it does link in with the job I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. But there was a individual that I know that sued the company that I used to work for, and then the government started opening their books on stuff, and they were like, you didn't pay half of these employees. So I received like I think it was like close to $2,000, like a check for two. And they're like, yeah, here's a check tax free. And I was like, well, this will work for a minute. Like this helps me. Yeah. For the company. But yeah, it's pretty interesting how those checks work. Sometimes it's like, hey, I remember also too, is I didn't know anything about city tax. And my old job never took the city tax out. Mm-hmm. So like for like 6 years, it never paid city tax. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you need to do a tax return. I was like, no one else I know that does it. And they're like, yeah, because their companies pull out the taxes. Like, that's stupid. And then come to find out, they're like, oh yeah, you owe us like $800. And I was like, whoa, and then I was like, well, I can only pay this every quarter. And they're like, that's fine. So
that's a very common thing whenever companies don't pull it out. Like a couple of my friends were contract workers, and they're like, man, I make so much money, blah blah blah. I'm like, it's because you're not getting taxed, dude. Like, you gotta save some money, because that taxation's gonna hurt if you don't see it coming. And I'm not sure if they saved up or not, but I mean, they got through tax season.
That happens to my wife too, because she's an independent contractor in a way, because she owns her own business. So like she does like the Disney travel agent stuff. So like she doesn't take her own taxes out. So like she has to take those out. And I always take like 30% out every time she gets paid. I'm like, let's put it in this account. We don't touch it. We just let it be, let it grow interest. We'll take some of that interest away and like grab it for ourselves. And then when you get a tax return, we'll put more money back in. So we like don't have to worry about that time, because that can get scary.
Oh yeah. It can really mess you up if you're not prepared for it. That's good. That's good that you do that, Austin. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Disney vacations, let's talk about our show that we watched today, Marvel What If Season 2.
Yeah.
A series of what ifs, or in this situation, less of what ifs and a lot of like traveling, like just people traveled a lot.
Yeah.
In this.
In different universes.
Into different universes, or in the same universe, and then it's like, all right, different. So awesome. What did you think of Marvel What If Season 2?
So I will say this. There is an episode that I didn't really like at all.
Okay.
There was a couple that were like that in a way where I was like, they're okay.
What episode?
I would have to say, and like it tied in with the story. The episode with the whole Tesseract thing, like the tribe people on that, I just feel like it was kind of like out there a little bit. They didn't like really set that up too well, and then it just abruptly made it happen. I was like, okay, I get it, but why was Odin like put that there? Why did this happen?
Well,
and they kind of just
they explained that.
Yeah, but it wasn't really well.
I don't even know if it was well, because here's the thing, right? I had no issue with that. Well, I had one issue with that that episode. I liked the episode. I liked the whole style and everything that it did. I have a hard time watching things subtitle based only, because I multitask, right? Like I like doing something else as I'm. Yeah. And whenever I watch a show that has like a surprise subtitle only thing, I have to focus, like directly focus on it, and then that can cause me to get, I don't want to say bored, but most definitely like I have to focus on it, and that kind of drains me a lot to do. That was my only complaint, is the fact that I had to pay attention. But I do also acknowledge that having them speak in like native tongue and everything, I was like, yeah, no, like it was a cool concept, it was a great idea. And if you enjoy that, like you're very much going to enjoy that episode. And I had no issue with the episode. Besides the fact that I had to stop, doing other stuff and focus.
There was only one other one that I thought was kind of boring, and that was the first episode with Nebula. I didn't really like that episode too much. Just because I didn't feel like I didn't really like that episode at all. Like I don't know, it wasn't for me. But I really didn't. This season's okay. Like I was okay with it. It wasn't as good as the first season, but the first season I feel the same way. It was okay. I don't go, oh my gosh, it was the greatest thing ever. There was only like
season 1 I think was better than season 2.
Yeah.
But I think the reason for that was because we didn't see the whole multi-dimension connection thing as a thing. And we very much got to see like the watcher kind of freak out at the universes connecting to each other. While in this one, he was kind of like, I just keep watching. No, I just keep watching. And it's like, okay, they're doing the same thing that they did last time, where it began as individual what if stories and then branches off into like a multi-dimensional thing, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, cool. What's funny to me is that the episode I didn't care for was the episode where Tony got stranded on the one planet
on
with the
Thor's
Grandmaster.
planet. Yeah.
And had to do the whole like race. The second I realized that they were going on a race thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm checking out hardcore to this one. I did not really focus. I'm like, cool, it has Wakatiki with what's his face and all that good stuff. I'm like, I just don't really care.
Jeff Goldblum and stuff. But no, I'm with you. I just feel like this season was kind of like, like it wasn't great, but there was some good episodes. I will say the Peter Quill episode is really good. I like that one. I thought that one was pretty good. My favorite episode actually has to deal with Hell and the 10 Rings. I thought that was really well done. I enjoyed that episode a lot compared to like the other episodes this season. And I don't like when they bring characters back in right at the end. Like right at the end of like, you know, because the thing is we didn't know this whole thing that was going on was just Doctor Strange's weird, you know, the evil Doctor Strange kind of deal.
Well, it wasn't all
till
him. It was just, you know, like, oh, I'm the big bad evil at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And it's not really a big bad evil. It's just like I'm the last episode's bad guy.
Yeah.
Which sure, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, sure. Yeah. I still feel like that was a waste of a character. I think the Cosmic Doctor Strange was probably the most interesting Doctor Strange, and I would have loved to see him transfer into live action somehow. The season very much, so like the first season had like a lot of what if sessions where it's like, oh, what if they did this, what if it was this, and why, like some of them were like pretty cool, like what if there was a zombie apocalypse, like what if X, Y, that. Some of these this season just felt like someone went like, what if premise so that way we can do X, not like a what if this universe did this, but more of like what if we can just, you know.
Well, I also feel that like maybe that they're going in the wrong direction, I feel. Because I feel like the episodes should be more episodic in my opinion.
Yeah.
Where it just feels like it's just a random episode. And maybe the watcher could connect that stuff. That would be the only connection. But the problem is that we're having is like, if you didn't understand why Captain America, well, whatever her name is, Captain Carter, you know, gets sucked in this red goo and it's in this red portal. And then you come to find out that like, you know, there's an episode later where she's in like the Renaissance era, you know, and then she has to be at the end to fight Doctor Strange. I just don't like how it's not episodic. What I loved about the What If comics is because how episodic it was. Like you could be like, what if Deadpool killed all of Marvel? What if, you know, that's what I like about this. Those are just one-offs, what ifs. They're not in another dimension. They're just like, this is what it is. And if you want to keep in a dimension or a multiverse, I'm fine with that. Just make it episodic. I think it would be better as a show that's just episodic, where I just pick it up, I watch it. Okay, that's a good episode. I think the only one that did that really was probably Nebula episode, and I was okay with it, but I really wasn't into that episode as much as other people I talked to.
They had other episodes that were
Yeah.
episodic. The issue is that like I want a little. I felt like this season wasn't as creative on the what if parts, right?
Mhm.
It was much more of a like trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
Right? Like the fact that we had like 4 episodes in a row about Carter, I was
Mhm.
like, this isn't what I wanted of a what if, because then it's not a what if season blank, it's Captain Carter season 2.
Yeah.
And I'm just like I'm fine with Captain Carter, I really am.
Yeah.
I would have liked it if it was just one episode about them, just like they did the one episode about the Gamora Thanos, and they're like, you don't know her story, so we're going to tell you her story. I was like, okay, cool, yeah, sure, this is good, let's do this. How come we never brought the Tony whenever they needed the multiverse? They just took the Gamora.
Yeah.
That's not explained. I think probably the best of the what ifs of this season that actually felt like a what if was the Peter Quill being like, what if he actually got taken to his dad, right?
Yeah.
Because that is a what if. What if he actually got taken to his dad?
Yeah. That's a solid what if. I thought that episode was probably one of the best next to Hell, but Hell was just, it wasn't a what if really. It was just like, it kind of was the Thor movie, but it was like Hell. And the thing is, it's like, I don't know. No, I just feel like that's that way.
Yeah,
but
no,
the other one that I liked was the Halloween. I mean, the Christmas special was pretty decent.
The Christmas special was okay.
I liked that one.
The only issue for me is that wasn't a what if. That was just Christmas special.
Yeah,
that should have just been. It probably was. That should have just been released as a singular episode of Avengers Christmas, and it introduces like Happy's new like persona / powers or whatnot, because he was a reoccurring character throughout the season. And I'm like, are they doing this because like Mark Ruffalo no longer wants to play Hulk, and so they need a new Hulk, like, so they got the guy who's literally the producer of everything to do it because he'll never leave? So I'm like, is that what's happening here? Is that not it? Or is it just like they just gave it to him for no other reason than that?
Yeah, because everyone else is leaving.
Yeah, like a lot of people are like dipping, and it's like, it's fine. Like, you can't have a franchise go on for almost 20 years and not expect people to leave and not want to continue. Like, you have to build yourself for that, or you have to move on to new IPs and like disconnect it. Like, that's fine, just do it. Yeah, I was fine with the Christmas special. I was very much like, this should have just been, this isn't a what if, this is just a Christmas. That's fine, just not what I enjoy about the what ifs. Yeah, the constant Carters, I was kind of like, I don't know, that's fine. The medieval or 1602 episode, it got lost on me quickly because of how do I want to say this? I was really hoping it was medieval, like, right, like knights and soldiers, but then like they had like muskets, and then like things just were never explained, and like people just had them still, and they basically explained it away by having her being like, it's like 1602 when the 21st century are being mashed together. I'm like, just don't go half-hearted in that, just make it the 1600s, right? Make it that the Avengers assemble out back in 1600. Make them all medieval versions of themselves. Don't make them rely on it. They're like, oh, here's a Steve Hood who's like Robin Hood, and it's just like, okay, that's really, really cheesy. I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, here's Captain Carter, she's from a different dimension. It's like, okay, cool. The Scarlet Witch is like an actual witch, and like Thor's using the sword, and I'm like, cool. But then they're like, then we have a bunch of these no-name soldiers with guns, and it's like, okay, I'm good. I wasn't a big fan of that episode. And I will laugh, the reason for why Steve was the original person was because he punched the glove and hit the time stone. Like, if that's how that worked, man, like, everyone's in trouble.
Yeah.
But I do find it funny. Every passing Marvel franchise that comes out that uses the Infinity Stones, they're more and more weakened. I'm sure you noticed that.
Oh
like,
yeah.
In this episode, everyone uses the Infinity Stones like it's nothing. Well, and then like some people just get instantly killed because they have Infinity Stones. It's like, what?
I instantly know. Like, I remember when I noticed it was starting to become a joke as the Infinity Stones when Loki season 1 came out, because
that wasn't a joke, because they explain like, oh, these stones don't work here, so they're useless, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's reasonable, that's understandable. And I remember my friend getting really upset because in the comic books, how they explain it is that the Infinity Stones only work in the universe that they're from. So you can't go and steal other places' Infinity Stones and use them. But in this show, that's not apparently canon. And so it doesn't make sense that you don't have all these people going around just mass collecting all the Infinity Stones from all the different universes. They instead just grab the ones from their universe and say, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Like, they're so weak. Like,
what they remind me of Dragon Balls. Like, they remind me of Dragon Balls.
Dragon Balls are better than, like, because here's the thing, right?
Of course, you get 3 wishes.
In all the Marvel franchises, the Infinity Stones are supposed to be like this near like nuclear thing. Hulk nearly dies using them. Tony dies using them, and then you have in this universe, Carter gets all of them in a like uniform, has no issue, nothing, no problems whatsoever. Then it's like Tony in that same universe pulls out the Infinity Stone, places it in a thing, and that Carter pulls out like the Tesseract, or whichever one. I think it's the time. No, it wasn't the Time Stone. Whatever the ones that's in the scepter, and she's like infused with it, and it's like no repercussions. Like they're not following their own rules for the Infinity Stones, and that's why they're becoming a joke. Is because they just don't care about them, and they're just kind of using them to explain, oh, this person's strong because they have these things. And it's like, it's like in Dragon Ball Z how it is now, where everyone's like a portion of Saiyan, and it's like all these massive super strong characters, and it's like, no interest in this, because if everyone's powerful like no one is, and if everyone can use the Infinity Stones with no issue, then the Infinity Stones aren't good. Like, they're not special. That is honestly my biggest issue that I'm having with these shows, is just like, I like the concepts of the what ifs. I just wish that they went a little better on their what if series, instead of just being like, what if Christmas? Hey, what if 1600s Peaceadors, cool, right? Yeah. Hey, what if we bring back that really cool Scarlet Witch zombie, because we don't really want to come up with another story? Like, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Just like create more things and have fun with it. I really was thinking, like, we talked about the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, and how like each episode of that one is such a unique twist, and sometimes they do overlap in some ways, but there's so many unique twists because the writers got to create whatever they want. There was nothing stopping them from just creating whatever they want. How come they're not doing the same for these? Like, you could think of anything, and you think of Tony Stark in a pod race. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, and the thing is like, I also think that maybe they should do, like, one of my favorite what ifs that I love, and they still haven't done it, and I thought they would, and hopefully they do it season 3, if because they already announced season 3. They did like a sneak preview already of season 3, so they're saying that it's going to be soon. They're actually going to release season 3, like, actually here in a couple months. But
didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a special like preview out right now. It's a sneak preview with Bucky, and it's like about like some type of road trip that he's with. It's just a short clip, and I'm like, it's weird. I don't get it. I watched it and I was like, what?
Went on a road trip.
What if Marvel went to Disney World?
It shows like all the superheroes together. They're having fun, and then it just pans to Hank Green being over there, being like, the waterman says.
Oh, Tom Green.
Yeah, Tom Green. Who did I say? Hank Green.
Hank Green. Hank Green.
No, Hank Green is the TikTok dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on. Sorry.
Like one of my favorite what ifs is Hulk. I mean, is Wolverine. Old man Logan type deal. But it's one of those fantastic stories of like, what if, all these superheroes died. I feel like the What If series needs to go a little bit. I hate to say this because I freaking hate saying it. I think it needs to be a little bit more darker tone. And I think people like, well, I think it is because the most popular episode, what's the number one episode you remember from the last season? If you ask anyone, they're probably going to say the zombie episode. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. That's super pulp culture, right?
Yeah, but the thing is like I think if they went with a Wolverine,
I don't think the zombie episode is the most favorite one from. I still think it's the Doctor Strange episode where he goes like super supreme sort of, because that's a cool concept, right?
Yeah,
that is a interesting concept. That's what they need. They
just but it's dark though. I feel like this was just trying to keep it to a kid level. And it wasn't trying to do anything here. It was just like, oh, hey, it's Christmas. Let's make sure these kids have something to watch.
Opening with Yondu having a giant hole in his chest is pretty dark, mate.
Yondu's dead again. but what I'm saying is like, if you've ever read Old Man Logan, and you just go, wow, that's a really good story because it has the epitome of like things falling apart. Same way with Hulk What If universe, where what if Hulk was the only person alive, after a nuclear war, like that's the kind of what ifs I like.
Yeah, that's the thing. They need to have more interesting what ifs. I do think that the what ifs in this episode season was pretty lackluster. And I think to be fair, I think they held on to what made the first season good too much, like with Carter, with Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, just tell new stories, right? I do find it funny, right, that I'm like, I really wanted them to spin the what ifs into the live action series somehow, and they do a little bit at the end with the reveal of the Midgard tree, which is, to me, when I saw that, I laughed because all I could think of it was like Disney being like, hey, check out Loki season 2.
Yeah, hey, look at me.
You watch Loki? Get ready for Echo. Like, that's very much what I felt like that. And I'm like, that's fine, but does that mean in next season we're going to have like Loki from the time variation come here? Or better yet, are we going to get explanation why there's a whole series of Loki where they stop deviants? Meanwhile, there's already a multiverse happening. Like, there's so many like unanswered questions for this stuff, but they're answers and questions that I don't think are driving people to continue watching. They're just answers and questions that just make people frustrated more than anything else. Like, I don't know if like I really wanted the Sorcerer Supreme to be like an actual character in some way, but now he's gone permanently, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's a waste of a cool character that would have made like for a fantastic movie. I don't know. It just, like, I had fun watching them, but it was very much of a like, they just could have been better what ifs. I wanted more. Oh.
No, I'm with you. I just feel like I just don't feel like it was that great of a season. Like, and
you went from it was good to not that great.
It was good. Like, what I'm saying is, when I say it's good, there's like, at least I like some things out of it. Like, there was some good things. Like, I did like the Hell episode, and I did like the Christmas episode, and the Peter Quill one. I thought those were great. But it just felt like it was like trying to tell this overarching story again, when I feel like it could have been just great if they just kept it to an episodic thing. And like, instead of having the Watcher as a character that's like influenced by this. He's just watching them, and like he has like dialogue or he explains what's going on in that universe. I think when they explain, the watcher at the beginning of an episode explains like what this universe is, and this is the universe, sets up a story, the story happens and it happens, and that's the end of it. Maybe at the end watcher like talks about it. But the thing is like I hate how it's like this overarching story, and then you have to pay attention to certain things, and I'm like, just do episodic episodes. I think they would be just great as episodic.
If they would have done their original setup from last season, where they did 5 disconjoined episodes, and then the last like 2 or 3 is like them connecting all those disconjoined ones into an episode for the finale, fine. That would have been cool. I think it was like what, episode 4 that Carter got her episode, and then we saw Carter for the rest of the season. Like except for the one episode with Kahori, but it was legitimately like, okay, cool. That Kahori's episode was just a origin episode. It was just explaining her origin, and it's like, cool concept, cool. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted more, and I just was not really satisfied with it. Maybe I'm just getting kind of, I'm straight up, I'm kind of tired of like superhero stuff. I think what I'm tired of is not superhero stuff. I think I'm tired of the Avengers stuff, because this whole season was just the Avengers.
Well,
and the only episode that I kind of enjoyed was the Kahori episode, because it had nothing to do with the Avengers. And whenever it became about Steve and all of them again, I was like,
well,
yeah, you can't let go of your moneymakers.
I think maybe I'm going to take it from a book of something that's going on with a hobby of mine, and that is oversaturation. And that is happening
Talking about
a lot.
Magic the Gathering now?
Yeah. Yeah, see, like, you know what I'm about to say. I feel like Disney has oversaturated a little bit with superheroes, so Marvel, and now it's getting to that peak point where people are falling off, and they're like, no, we're not going to watch this anymore. And then, you know, there's a lot of things that have come out that I was not interested in, and I watched it, and I'm like, that's not good. Like, I didn't like Black Widow. I didn't like the Eternals. I didn't like them. I thought The Ten Rings was great. I thought that was a good, well-rounded story. She-Hulk was okay. And what was the other one? Hawkeye was okay. I liked Hawkeye better than She-Hulk. I will say that. And then, you know, that's pretty much what's been coming out, really. And then Guardians of the Galaxy is always, you know, James Gunn has this production that's really well done. But I feel like some of these movies I don't really care for, or the shows I don't. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to watch that. You know, and it's oversaturation. That's how I feel about Star Wars now. Star Wars is that way, where it's like, oh, another Star Wars show. Like, I like Mandalorian. Great, you got me back into it. Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian season 2.5. Like, you know, and Ahsoka. I get it. I thought Ahsoka was great. I like Andor, it was good. But the thing is like, how much product can you push out there when it gets to a point where I'm like, all right, I get it. There's no hype. I want the hype still. That's the problem that I think that we're having.
I see, here's the thing. I have no issue with what they're putting out. I'm tired of seeing the same characters, right? I want new things. I want something else, you know? Like, I was excited for Moon Knight because it was a brand new character from the ground up. I enjoyed Moon Knight a lot.
Yeah.
I know some people didn't enjoy it as much. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I did not, like, I was fine with Hawkeye, but I remember being like, it's Hawkeye. I'm not quite invested into it. I enjoyed it because it was one of the first seasons. WandaVision was probably by far the best thing, like, TV show that Marvel has put out. Just because it was a really, like, interesting story. It was a I don't want to say detective story, but it was a what's happening, you know? like Echo's coming out. I know you're excited for Echo. I, I'm not as excited for Echo because I have no concept of who Echo is. But I may be pleasantly surprised, like I was with Moon Knight. You know, like Moon Knight, I had no concept of other than like the meme of him, and I was like, yeah, no, I enjoy it. But Echo, I may be more interested in, especially since the Kingpin guy is back, and I like that guy. I don't think I have a fatigue with superheroes. I very much believe I have a fatigue with all the rehashes, you know? Like I enjoyed Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel. I enjoyed Miss Marvel. I've never watched or read anything about Miss Marvel, and I enjoyed the character.
Well, I totally understand.
It was still a origin episode, and that was grading for that sheer reason. But I enjoyed it. I want to watch the Marvels. I just, you know, I haven't been to a movie theater. Like, I'm not going to spend money to go to the movie theaters nowadays. If I know it's going to come out on a streaming service, I'm just going to wait for it to come out on a streaming service.
And the thing is like also too is like the problem is with going to the movies, and I tell people this all the time. Why don't you go to the movies anymore, Austin? You love the movies. The problem that you have is they're way overpriced. And then most of the time when you go to a movie, the best parts about going to a movie is having the experience of a movie, like popcorn and drinks and like all that stuff, and just enjoying it with your friends. But the problem that you have is you're spending $40 to go do a movie like that. And you're like, that's a lot of money when I could just sit at home, get a thing of popcorn that I bought for $3, you know?
The one thing I will say is that I don't have the attention span when I'm at home to watch a movie. Because I'm like, there's other things I'd rather be doing right now. Or I need to be doing other things. When I'm at a movie theater, I get a little more focused on the movie because I know I can't do anything, or else I'll get yelled at for having my phone out during the movie. That's fine. That's not the experience I care about. I agree with you. I like going there with friends and family that I know and enjoy it, but a lot of the stuff is just like, I'm just gonna wait for it to come out on Disney Plus to watch it, and that's just the truth of it. And I just want to see more new characters. I just want more new characters, and I would be completely cool with them putting together a like Avengers of like evil characters from past Marvel movies who are turned good in the What If, and have them come together a lot more than I would have for like, this one is Captain America from this world, this one is this Captain America, and it's like, it's still Captain America, it's still Loki, it's still Thor, it's still Iron Man.
Well, that's why I liked. That's why I liked the Hell and I'm trying to think of the Ten Ring guy. Those both were villains, and they overtook Odin. Odin's terrible, anyways. Period.
I liked that episode. I'm like, it was a good episode because it wasn't a traditional like, the Marvels. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. People can tell me that all they see fit. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
From here on out. Enjoy it and have fun with that. Austin, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I have nothing else I want to say about the What If season 2. I just wish that I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of lackluster this season, and it disappoints me because I really like the concept. I just didn't really feel it this season. Like, I wasn't a fan of it. It was actually kind of hard for me to watch, actually, because
issue watching it. I very much had issue investing.
I spaced out like 2 times, 3 times. Like, I was like, wait, I'm watching this. I gotta pay attention.
The Christmas episode I spaced out hard on.
Yeah.
And the only thing that actually like kind of drawed me back in was Kate Dennings, because we were both fans of her because of her portrayal.
You just recently got married, actually.
He did, yeah.
To Andrew WK.
And I'm like, oh, that's her. I like her instantly. I'm sitting over here playing Baldur's Gate, and her voice would come in. I would just turn over and look and be like, she has my attention.
There's only a couple people that are like that. But what's weird is it's always Kate Dennings and then Zoe DeJaneiro for me. Because I love Zoe. Yeah, Zoe, I used to watch New Girl a lot.
Yeah.
And I actually liked New Girl, but she was in a movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt that I really enjoyed called 500 Days of Summer.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like Zoe. So anytime like I hear her talk or Kate Dennings talk, I'm like, that's
For
who
me,
that is.
like Kate Danes kind of turns my head, but I think the other person who turns my head is Matthew Berry.
Oh yeah.
Matt Berry just turns like the second I hear his voice, I'm like all ears. That man can get me like if he walks in the room and yells "father," like I'm glued to him. I don't care if like the president's speaking or whatnot. I'm glued to him now. So yeah, yeah, short episode. I think just because of the fact that
there wasn't a lot.
Well, like it's what if they're all individual stories, but I do very much find it that I not as investive as it was in the first season. I think because of the Carter, like that's just it. Like I like Captain Carter, but one episode and just be done. Like don't keep bringing her back. Like come on, mate. That's me though. All right, Austin. Well, I think that does it for our episode. Quickie, only 40 minutes. Not bad at all. Well, Austin, next week what are we watching?
So we were watching Echo.
Echo.
Another Marvel show.
Show.
It came out all at one time today. It came out, or it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. It all came out one day. It is only 5 episodes.
Oh dang.
Yes, and I think the longest episode is the first episode, which is 50 minutes. But most of the episodes are actually 30 minutes long, actually. So the first episode's probably like 45 minutes, really, in reality. And then after that, it's like 30 minutes episode. So there's only 5 of them. But there's also another show that's coming out, which we'll probably get to watch too. I was going to talk to you about that. Because it's something that like I love. So it's like one of my guilty pleasures. So I was like, a new show's coming out about it. So we'll probably do it then. But yeah. So we're doing Echo next week on Disney Plus.
Echo on Disney Plus once more onto the Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome! Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Frozen Shows.
Because that's where we're about to go. Yep.
That's where we're about to go. And yeah, thank you so much, Austin, for joining us, and thank you all so much for stopping by.